You are welcome again to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name, Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. R. Kelly is scheduled to be sentenced on the 23rd of February 2023, which is only 5 days away, and the prosecution has requested the Chicago federal judge that he be given 25 years in prison for the 6 out of 13 guilty counts registered in the Chicago trial verdict. It's interesting how the prosecution has become accustomed to the 25-year standard proposal, similar to what they requested for back in New York with Judge Ann Donnelly, when she generously gave an additional 5 years for her own self to make it 30. We are hoping that this time round, Chicago Judge Lynan Weber remembers to be reasonable when sentencing the R&B King, and that he does it right. Otherwise we may not stop questioning whether the court system is a part of the conspiracy to imprison R. Kelly for life or not. A report on ABC News about the same reveals that the reason the government prosecutors are seeking 25 years is not necessarily because they believe that it's what R. Kelly deserves for the alleged crimes, but because this duration of jail time guarantees he will be locked up for largely the rest of his life. This makes us doubt the criteria the prosecution is using to arrive at the 25 years they have recommended, and also the process that is going to guide Judge Lynan Weber's decision. While the judge is supposed to be the neutral point of reference who is simply dedicated to serving justice, and is therefore expected to follow what the law says about sentencing to arrive at the appropriate duration, it looks like the factors guiding the process are simply prejudicial, and the entire process is premised on prejudicial tendencies, which is very wrong. How can the 25 years being proposed be intended only to keep R. Kelly behind bars for the rest of his life, as opposed to ensuring that justice is served? This makes us doubt whether there is any sort of criteria being followed when coming up with these durations to subject R. Kelly to. As we earlier communicated in one of our previous video releases, R. Kelly's attorney Jennifer Bonjean did propose an 11-year sentence as a maximum, and also gave the court the option of a retrial, citing the fact that perjury was committed by government witness Jane, who during the cross-examination said that she was not decided as to whether she would seek restitution from R. Kelly if he was found guilty, yet she had already hired an attorney to negotiate for compensations in millions of dollars. Meanwhile, this is not the only instance government witnesses are lying under oath during the trials against R. Kelly. This is something they have done before and are showing utter willingness to do again and again for as long as the courts of law do not punish the crime. The case against R. Kelly has been characterized by shocking deeds and responses that have never been registered in history. To mention but a few, this is the one case among all I have seen where witness credibility is not important if their testimonies must be accepted as true and permissible when making a judgment. When it comes to the R. Kelly case, even criminals already guilty of perjury are welcome to testify, and not forgetting individuals involved in various attempts to blackmail and defraud the defendant. Only on the R. Kelly case have I seen serial fraudsters such as the likes of Michael Avenatti bring to the table so-called evidence and make comments against the defendant, and they are believed. Onlookers are actually wondering whether we can still trust a government that works with criminals to plead a case in court, and one that influences the judge to take such BS brought to the table by such people as truth. How are they even able to do this? This case and subsequent trials have been so unique. Even the indictment itself was completely out of order. Only in the case against R. Kelly did we see the RICO Act, which was originally formulated to catch criminal gangs involved in sinister unlawful acts and drug cartels, being used to take down an individual that clearly wasn't involved in any sort of racket, and whose only crime was loving multiple women, and of course letting go of those that didn't suit his career and reign. If R. Kelly had been trading in young girls and shipping them to other dealers overseas for illicit business aiming at a profit, it would have made sense to apply the RICO, but also arrest the transporters and flight operators, and to take down the entire racket. Even Sony, which has shaped who he is over years, would be answerable. But when you arrest a man for having multiple girlfriends, and then assume whoever interacted with any one of them and probably had a conversation with them as part of a racket, you are so wrong. It's hard to imagine a member of a gang being convicted alone for crimes of the entire gang. It could easily mean there was no gang after all. Even the government's attempt to bring more people into the mix when they added Darrell McDavid and Milton June Brown to the Chicago indictment ended in a fail as the two were eventually acquitted. As if allowing crime in the courtroom and criminals on the stand was not enough, the court itself got involved in illegal operations when they allowed the Bureau of Prisons officer to get away with abuse of R. Kelly's rights as an inmate at the MCC, and even went as far in getting involved as issuing a later warrant as an attempt to cover up the crime. Then all this followed with a premature retirement of the prisons officer involved, of course issued by the same government department. One will wonder how all these ugly attempts that clearly abuse the US laws could pass, yet attract no legal attention whatsoever. The government is technically hiding so much illegal behavior in plain sight, and no one is raising a finger. Learning that in 4 days' time the court will be adding another 25 years, or more to R. Kelly's already wrongful conviction that attracted 30 years of unfair sentencing makes many of us think twice as to whether we can still be proud to be American. It's very unfortunate to be a part of a country that will tailor its laws to suit their short-term desire, which is to take down a single man, and then return to the correct interpretation of the law when they are done with him. It's difficult to be patriotic in a country where selective justice is general practice, and one where criminals can actually provide the baseline for judgment of citizens, and their word is taken as gospel truth despite their backgrounds being known to be shady and full of lies. R. Kelly has been treated like less a human by a government blinded by its selfish agenda to satisfy his enemies. With this, I guess I am right to say our government is now for hire. It looks like for as long as you run a monster company or have the billions to influence the system, you can as well hire the government to push your personal agenda. While the governments in third world countries are known to be above the law, characterized by situations like this where individuals with money are able to hire government security personnel as escorts to beat the traffic, it looks like the US is joining in and our government is no longer any better than these. It is rather disappointing to learn that our country has been sent to the dogs to use and abuse as they may please. According to Lisa McRae, this whole situation is merely the piracy of celebrities. In other words, everyone is surviving off of their money. The Bureau of Prisons officer was probably retired with pay. Even when such crimes by government are evident, no one is ever punished other than the rich celebrities. Victims are just the portal to the celebrities' resources and money these days. Clearly no law is being practiced here. This is just theft in the making. We can see the corruption for sure. No newscast has mentioned the illegal text messages. No newscast mentioned Lizette's fake birthday. No newscast mentioned Clary Angelo's past criminal record. No newscast mentioned that these people could have simply stayed home, or were free to go home and probably work at Wendy's or go back to college. No newscast mentioned Sony's role in this matter. They are only concerned about ratings, and so they only speak negative things against R. Kelly. It's sad to see that none of us can fight back against unfair treatment and powerful groups and smear campaigns. Ruining a person's reputation is so bad. Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson and Bill Clinton also suffered from social media defamation, and this is not funny anymore. This is actually serious and frightening. Let's continue to pray for him. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.